No breath, no heartbeat, just static remains. Hollow reflections, ghosts in the cold.
Come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hi. Hi. Oh, what's going on, everybody? I said I wasn't going to stream today, and sure as shit, here I am. It's weird. It's weird how I like doing this, despite, I would say, like, 65% of the time, it pisses me off. Ooh, that's hot. Fresh coffee. Anyway, how's everybody doing this morning? I do want to actually change the title of this video a little bit. The testing is going to be less testing than you think. It's going to be more bug testing than, like, I don't want to imply that I'm doing setup testing. Not that anybody would come to me for that, but still. There we go. Bug testing. Alright, let's see. What do we got going on in chat? No, Anthony, I know this is probably going to be your go-to shtick, but I will not turn off subscriber-only mode. So, stick around and stay subscribed if you want to keep asking that question daily. I will allow it, and I will answer it every single day. Shadow, been a while since I've been here. How's it going, buddy? How are you? Dimitri, your boy don't stop. Yes, sir. Yeah, last night we definitely had some good racing. We had some... So, this was actually strange to me. It was a strange sensation, but it actually kind of made me happy. Now, maybe it was because Austin was in the Discord, and maybe Austin brought some, like, following of, like, people who care about driving. But, we had full, maxed-out lobbies last night. And I can't speak to, like... No, actually, I can't speak to the back of the pack, because a lot of the times I didn't qualify. And for the most part, yeah, there were accidents. There's always going to be online racing. But for the most part, there was some, like, real good... There were some races where it was me, Austin, and a couple other dudes in different multi-class but comparable speed cars, like, say, going through Zolder race. That was awesome. Now, of course, I'm try-harding it a little bit more because I got fast guys around me, and I gotta... I'm not on their level, but I gotta, you know... I gotta try and hang out in the crowd, you know, blend in. Instead of being a wolf in sheep's clothing, I'm a sheep in wolf's clothing, you know? But anyway, we had some really good racing last night. I had a lot of fun last night. It was refreshing. Unfortunately, there were a lot of people having, like, straight-up crashes. I had one crash to desktop. I do think, not to lie, the crash that I have experienced twice now, yesterday, I did speak to Sora about, and it is something that they can actually replicate on their end. I don't know if it's PC-specific or if it's just built into the game itself. Because that's the biggest part that sucks about being multi-platform and bug chasing, is that there are bugs that affect everybody on every platform, and then there's specific platform bugs. And these are not always the same, you know? And then we had one of our regular buddies in there, Seaberg, last night, who was experiencing every single problem that you could experience on a computer, in sim racing, everything, all at once. And then there was me, that outside of my one crash to desktop, having I turned on all my telemetry, my haptics, everything, SimHub, everything ran flawlessly. Fantastic experience. And it's so frustrating and I don't think Seaberg's a stupid person by any means. He's having all of these problems with good hardware, you know? Now, don't get me wrong, and with respect to him, I do think the issues are on his end that he was experiencing, but it's the point that he can experience them so easily. I don't know what it is. But that being said, though, we had some good fucking racing last night, and that made me want to stream today, that we had good racing last night. But there are some things I do want to talk about. Nothing, like egregious or super negative or anything like that, but just a lot of things to talk about. I guess I'll start real quick with the new YouTube policies part of the segment. This is going to be a shorter one. I don't know if you guys know anybody who follows YouTube, who puts anything on YouTube of any kind. They're always changing their shit, and usually there's always a lot of caveats that benefit them more so than the actual user. But in this particular case, I got an email the other day about policy changes and stuff like that, and I read most of it, but apparently I missed some information because I looked more into it after the fact. After I noticed I felt like I was being punished with uploads that normally do decent, that are like dead in the water, and there were different forms of content, motorcycle stuff and video game stuff. They all landed flat on their face. And then, so I looked into it a little bit more. So anyway, what the email said that I focused on, which I probably should have read more on, was all views count the same moving forward, meaning shorts, live streams, long-form videos. A view is a view, period. If you get 1,000 views on a short and you get 1,000 views on a live stream, they count concurrently, monetarily, as the exact same thing. Which I like that. I don't have to math. I don't have to do some brain algorithm bullshit to figure out how much of my money I'm going to make from this and how much is this count and how am I doing it. No. Hey, look, that type of thing got this many views. That type of thing got this many views. Clearly, that thing over there, based purely on that number, is the better thing I should focus on. So I like that aspect. Now, that's about the only positive. The negatives. Well, there is a 50-50 positive. I am on the positive side of it, but I fully understand why there's going to be a lot of people that are pissed off about this. Anyway, shorts specifically. Clearly, YouTube is phasing out shorts. Maybe it's in light of trying to stop spamming AI nonsense shorts. But basically, they're phasing out shorts in a way where they're just not pushing them on people anymore, which, for me, I go, great. I came to YouTube originally a long time ago, started my own channel, started watching YouTube because I wanted to watch long-form content. I wanted to watch videos that felt like someone's life, someone's whatever I was interested in. Then it turned into TikTok brain. And I'm sorry, but TikTok and all these other companies are going to do TikTok brain better. So I'm glad they're pushing more towards actual efforted content like long form and lives and things like that, and less TikTok brainy stuff, right? Because like I've been making a lot of shorts lately because it's based off of the previous system in play, like I was like, you know what, what's the point of making long form content if these shorts are just so essentially rolling with the punches of making content, right? I don't like shorts, but I was making them because if you're going to make anything on YouTube, it felt like long form, you really have to have built an older audience to follow you. It's really hard to build a new audience based off long forms, just by the way the algorithm works. You have to have a lot of videos that do really well in a row to start pushing that content on people. So anyway, it looks like they're kind of going back to their olden ways. The part that I think is bullshit and how it's negative and how is that they lean so heavily into shorts, and now everybody who adapted is just rug pulled. So basically, let me jump over here to my shorts and show you what I mean. Get this on screen quick. This is, by the way, the YouTube side of this is going to be the much shorter thing. I just want to talk about this quick because it is a talking point. Let's go shorts. Okay, right here. Refresh this quick. And I will catch up on all the comments, by the way. I'm just ranting, so. All right. Right here. Right here. So, if you see here, like this here, a lot of my, like, in-shop stuff doesn't do very well. It never really has, and that's fine. I'm okay with it. But, like, right here, like, this is your average click right now for the way it was, right? 1,000 to 1,500, stuff like that here, you know, and then the in-shop one here, 624, right? Like, 525 here, right? None of these are really... Every once in a while, you completely miss, right? The DJR overreact 2.4K. You can see an average sort of number, right? You know, this one didn't do really well. I don't care. I don't pay too much attention to these numbers, but they are something you should pay attention to if you are trying to grow a channel, right? I would recommend never focusing too hard on these because your brain will explode. But point is, you see the numbers, right? This one didn't do well because it was someone else's YouTube channel talking about me that I really appreciated and wanted to give him a shout out. This one didn't do very well. But you see, look, every one of them is just about over 1,000 clicks, right? And then the last 3 I uploaded. These always do well, the racing clips, the old school racing clips, right? 187 views, 218 views. I'm like, okay, maybe the algorithm is now pushing my content to basically sim races, since that's been more of a recent thing that I've been doing over the actual racing thing. So I upload what I thought was a pretty funny short, right? Now maybe I undersold it with not as clickbaity stuff. Whatever. I thought it was decent. This bottom line is this: a month ago, this was easily over 1,000 clicks, 169. Nothing there. This is arguably dead in the water shorts. But if these views did get a financial buff, then maybe those 169 views count for more than previous. But either way, these videos from a viewership standpoint are dead in the water. Out of nowhere. So that's when I started looking more into it, and then come to find out that's what they're doing. So essentially, I'm not going to go out of my way to put up shorts anymore. I'm going to start focusing on long form stuff. Now, I'm going to use that as a segue, talking about long form content on YouTube, to talking about Project Motor Racing and a video I watched this morning, The Rev. He had another video out where he reviewed the LMDHs and stuff like that. Basically reviewed 2.2. Balanced video. I got no complaints about anything he said about it. But I did notice in his video, he has the NVIDIA driver bug. So, let me see. All right, here we go. Reverend Sim Racing, right here. Pull up the video. Oh, never mind. Wrong video. There we go. So if you guys are curious and you do want to watch some content, this is a decent video. I think he's got a pretty good balanced head on his shoulders. He doesn't attack things, but he doesn't glaze them. He just sits there right there in the middle, which I wish everybody would do. But anyway, now let me quickly address chat, things that I might have missed, and then we'll continue on. So let's see. Where are we at here? Let's see. Holy shit, you guys been talkative. I like it. Where are you guys when I'm bored and I'm not talking about other shit? Let's see. Keeps trolls out. Yes, exactly. Keeps trolls out. Race last night. Yep, 30 minutes. I like the update. Not a fan of the brake-induced understeer in GT3. Other than that, everything else felt great. See, I like it, but I think it's too strong. So because you drive a real car, any real car, the thing that video games always do that I've always not liked is that there is zero grip loss under full heavy braking in an ABS car. And then in a non-ABS car, they just lock up. And that's always felt great. That's always the way Sims, you completely lose front grip when you lock the tires up. That's authentic. That's what should happen. But ABS cars still lose a lot of grip under heavy braking. They just are drivable under braking. So they have the idea right, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a professional here. In my opinion, they have the idea right with reducing grip under heavy braking with an ABS car. But in my opinion, the switch off is too much. It's too aggressive, you know? So I do think there's a little bit of tweak there, but you know what, though? I'm still okay with what we've got. I don't want to see it addressed. I'm sure they will, because at the end of the day, that's not how the business works. Aris is going to keep working on cars, not bug fixing, because that's not what he does. Other people are going to do that stuff, so that's just the way it is. So you have to understand that when we get car updates in the game, it's not because they're ignoring bugs. It's because there is an employee there that has talent that's doing something in the game that only has one specific thing to do himself: work on the cars. So he can either not do his job and watch other people do their jobs, or do his job while watching other people do their jobs. So you have to understand, when we do get car updates, it's not them ignoring everything else and focusing on that. It's just, it's a multitasking type situation. Trust me, I want bug changes. I'm right there with every single one of you who says this. I am all about bug changes before car changes. All about it. But you have to understand the reason why we get car changes while the rest of the game gets work done too. Because you would just take someone who does work at the company and make them just not work anymore if you didn't want car changes, you know? Anyway, let's see. Morning, AJ. Agree on the understeer, Joe. Yup. We're doing very well. We tested 2.2 and I'm a very happy gamer. Good. Glad to hear that. Let's see. Dimitri, I ran a couple races in Jester's Lobby yesterday. Have mixed feelings about the update. I'm struggling in the GT3s with understeer. See, I have a feeling that the fast guys, the actual fast guys, War Dog, you're a fast guy, Slick's a fast guy, I'm an average guy. You know, I think if you were fast in the previous cars, you are going to do much more relearning than someone like me, because a lot of the fast guys are very aggressive, diving into corners and under braking and things like that. And now all of a sudden you can't do that because you wash the front end right off the track. The braking zones have increased, which is where I think they've gone a little too hard in that direction, because I don't necessarily think the braking zones should increase. They should be like real world comparison. But how you brake inside that zone is what you want to refine, you know? But if you just out of nowhere need more braking zone than the real cars do, well, then that's, to me, is not an accurate adjustment. You know what I'm saying? What's player count like these days? Debating on buying a PC. Honestly, the player count's not great, but I still think you should buy it. At least give it a fair shake. I would not... If I could refund this game right now, I would not do it. I very much have a ton of fun in it. And the thing is that if everybody keeps waiting for players to play the game will never actually grow. People just have to jump in, realize, shit, this is actually a lot of fun, and then just ride the wave, you know? I can make a recommendation based off of my experience, but I am one of the guys, one of the unicorns that has a great experience on the game. A lot of other people don't, you know? Like the new updates. I lose the rear constantly this patch. I like the loss of the rear grip in the GT3s, honestly, because there was none of that prior, and that to me is not realistic. You should be able to lose a rear end of a car. My only adjustment, I would say, is what Oil Slick said, and that is, I think the reduced grip under braking needs a bit of a buff. Not all. Don't take it away so it was what it was before, because that to me is not realistic. There is grip loss under braking, but I just don't think it's as aggressive as it. But then again, maybe it isn't a GT3 car. I've never driven it. But for me, the red flag for the fact that they've nerfed it too hard is that you need more braking zone now to stop. And more braking zone than the real cars, I'm saying. You know? Going on, Geo? My intro? Appreciate that, Gio. I'm glad someone watches my intro. I know no one does. There's always like 6 people waiting. You get a lot of my life story in my intro, too. You know? Cars, bikes, video games. Anyway. Happens to your videos all the time. Yep, losing the rear a lot now. Never did this before the update. It didn't. But I want that. I want people to have to drive cars and not just throw them around. You know? Shorts and full content. They don't anymore, Dimitri. Maybe I could be wrong here in terms of when you said that, but that was what the original email that got me on the YouTube content or talk was about. All views are now 1-for-1. Shorts do not get less money or revenue than long form, but shorts are now massively nerfed from viewership standpoint. They're everything. Live stream, long form, shorts, a view is a view. They are all monetarily exactly the same now. At least that's what their email said. Who knows? They might change that policy in 6 hours. If I want a death scroll, I'll do Instagram. I prefer longer videos. Agreed. I'm on YouTube for long form. To race I did last night, GT3, I used my built setups, and after using them, the setup was gone in my saved setups. Interesting. 88 AI is easier in Daytona. Which class of car, Grumps? I assume, are you referring to GT3? Because I will say, this was not in the patch notes, but the entire AI GT3, difficulty was all scaled back and rebalanced for the player car. 100% AI is now slower. There are some cars where I can pretty much beat all the AI at 100% in GT3 now. If I know the track well and I know the car I'm driving well, I can beat all of the AI. Before they would kick my ass brutally. I'd be in like 24th place. Going on, Jurassic. Setup didn't change, it deleted itself. That's an interesting. Honestly, you guys who are diehard into setups, I feel like if you don't already, you should take screenshots of your setups. So that way, if situations like that, you can just rebuild it, you know? Doing stuff like playing PMR, just wondering what we want to do later. The Wilson ABS depends on the overall tech of the system and how early it kicks in. Well, I mean, it really comes down to, let's face it, the tires more than anything else. You know? Everything comes down to the tires. Every suspension setting, every traction control setting, everything. The tires are your first line of defense in terms of grip. No game will touch GT7. I mean, from a game standpoint, you're right. You're right. Gran Turismo's got it on lock until someone steps up and starts making better games. You're right. The driving in GT7, we're not going to be negative today. But the game itself is the king, in my opinion, from a game standpoint. They need another marketing operation on this game. Feels amazing, but the lobbies look like Mad Max. Admittedly, this is one of the things I talked about Austin last night, and Austin did have some good ideas, admittedly. Obviously I told Austin I'm keeping the middle ground in terms of he's obviously an ex-developer. Obviously, I talk to current developers. I'm not choosing sides. I'm not being some controversial person. I'm just calling a spade. And he was very diplomatic in talking last night, which is why he had a voice, you know? He was very complimentary to S4. So it's all being diplomatic, guys, you know? Sometimes you got to bite your tongue even if you disagree. But at the same time, disagree respectfully when you do, you know? Something that a lot of the younger generation could learn. Anyway, let's see. It took AMS2 3 tries to get yaw. Yeah, you ought to be okay. Yeah. I think it might slip-rate SLI right there. I'm thinking it's probably just a typo. But yeah. Here's the thing. You're going to see updates for this game forever and ever and ever and ever when it comes to cars. And even right now, if they didn't change away a single car in the game drove for a long time, I would be totally content with that. I really would. Everything that's different in the game, you can adapt to. And love the driving. I love the way the GT3s drive. That's based off of some experience somewhere doing something, you know? Now, if I was fast with the previous cars and now I'm slow, I might be upset about that. But you can adapt and you can get fast again, you know? GT7's not going anywhere unless they pull a Forza Motorsport. Yeah, well, that's just bad. That's just bad Xbox being bad Xbox. Microsoft not knowing what the hell to do with their employees. Like, Forza Horizon 6 is even a fail, in my opinion. I mean, it's not a fail. They sold a bajillion copies, so they made their money. But the point is that from a long-term standpoint, that game's cooked. Unless they really change it up in the immediate future. The player drop-off's over 90%. That's insane. For a major AAA game, that is bad. Not like it's an indie dev game or a sim game where you lose a lot of your initials because of problems or whatever. PMR on its absolute best day, concurrent players and just overall sales, doesn't even like knock on the front gate of Forza Horizon. So they're on a completely different playing field. So 90% player loss or player retention loss in Forza Motorsport is millions of people. Not thousands, millions. Well, the spiritual connection between us, nice. All right, let me see here. More challenging. Yeah, I definitely like the... I personally like the driving. I still think there's some tweaks that could be made to make it better, but I do like the GT3 driving a lot. All right. Let me move on from chat quick, because I do want to tackle this. So anyway, this is actually a poor clip of him. Let me move that. There we go. It's better. All right, so this is going to be if you are on PC and you have an NVIDIA graphics card. I am going to make a long-form video on this, going into detail and how to rectify it. Some people aren't going to want to do it. Some people are just going to blame the game and say it sucks. Fuck that, I'm not doing that. And I get it. But I've seen this so many times from a lot of people who don't play the game regularly, so they don't recognize problems. Because, like, you would immediately be like, where did this come from? Anybody who's played this game, Foy Loco, he's one of the guys that plays with us regularly. He's like, what's up with my shadows? My shadows are all bad. Like, this looks terrible. Because he plays the game all the time. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the game's broken, shadow-wise. Whereas someone like the Rev plays everything, but primarily LMU. He doesn't really play PMR. So I left a comment, actually, about explaining the problem and how he can rectify it and stuff like that. And how there's a potential solution being developed. If he wants to try it and give him how to fix it. If he wants to revisit it visually, anyway. It's not going to have any effect on the game. It's just visually. So anyway... If you look here, you see this like grid, this like square grid in the background, and this like little line that looks like an electrical wire just hanging in the background. And then if you were to swing this car fast, if you grab it with the mouse and rotate the car, fidget spinnery, there's a massive ghost trail and all of this stuff happening. And then in the race, you see a very faded circles constantly surrounding the car that just follows you everywhere you go. And there's a lot of ghosting from the cars in front of you, a lot of shadow, a lot of pixelated like anomalies, artifacting, things like that. And if you don't play the game, you just think it's the game. You don't notice it, just the way the game looks. This, going into the car selection screen, is the absolute easiest way to know if you have the problem. And you have to backdate your NVIDIA drivers. So let me boot the game up, and I'm going to show you what that exact screen looks like on my end and the difference. Because I have the older drivers installed. If I install the newer drivers, I will have this exact same visual problem. And it's specific to NVIDIA. If you're on an AMD graphics card, I mean, I don't want to say you don't have this issue. Maybe you do. But I can't tell you if you do, because I've noticed that it does seem to be specific to NVIDIA. Obviously, I'm an NVIDIA graphics card user, so I can chase those bugs. I can't chase the AMD ones because I don't have one. Anyway, single player, race weekend. Notice my background is much more white, right? There's no ghosting from the car. That's just not happening. There's no antenna line hanging down. You can still see where there would be a grid, but it's not really present. Now look at the revs. See his? The lines, the antenna line hanging down. And if you spin this car, it goes crazy. The ghost trail, that you can actually see a little bit of this shadow right here. Here, let me full screen it more. These shadow right here is all pixelated around the car, right? You see it? Might be hard. I don't know how YouTube's going to compress it, but it is very pixelated on my screen. And then when I go to the game, it's an actual shadow. It's a hard shadow, but it's a shadow. So I am going to make a video about this because everybody I see playing the game, even some guys regularly who play the game, they recognize, something's wrong with the shadows or whatever. It is rectifiable in the drivers. Now, if we go to NVIDIA's website, NVIDIA drivers, click on the link. Let's find your graphics card. I wish it didn't update every time. Reminds me of PMR on PS5 when you scroll the ranked menu. Gotta fetch every time. All right, so 61088 is the current driver. 61074, 61062, 61047. Any 610 model number driver creates this problem. Anything 59649 and older fixes the problem. And so far, I haven't found any issues with using this driver on another game. You know, bigger number, not always better, guys. Especially when it comes to software. But if you are a PMR player on PC and you have an NVIDIA graphics card and it is your main game, I would backdate your drivers to 59649. That's what I currently have in my computer. That's a May 12th driver. That will fix your shadow problems. And you might not even recognize it and think, oh, wow, the game actually looks better than I thought. So if a lot of you guys wonder why my game looks better than some, I'm showing you right now why some of that is. So yes, go backdate your drivers. And that applies to the Rev 2. Like I said, I sent him a comment on that video telling him to do that if he wants. If he's not a regular, he doesn't have to. Because I will say, I believe Giants and NVIDIA are collabing to try and fix the problem. Because Giants has much more of a direct in with NVIDIA than Straight 4 does. Yes, anything older too is also... Anything 596 and older, Captain Crunch, is fine. But anything 610 and newer, which they're all 610, but 47, 62, 74, and 88... all of these, whatever, it's one of those annoying things where it's a combo of both the game and the driver. So the newer drivers didn't affect this on the older pre-2.1 build. This was not a problem. But now it is. So something that was changed in the visuals in the game and also simultaneously changed in the newer drivers is not happy. That's creating the problem. So it's got to get fixed on their end between NVIDIA and the game, the engine. But because Straight 4 has known about this one for a while. I reported this a long time ago. And they have been chasing it and have been able to fix it, which is why I believe Giants and stuff is involved. But anyway, if you are a regular and you play on PC and you're on an NVIDIA graphics card, $596.49. Like I said, I'm going to make a video about this. That way you don't have to watch a live stream about it. Anyway. Us console players doing trigonometry in our head trying to figure out what the fuck you're talking about. That's basic computer stuff, Slick. Drivers. Graphics driver, BIOS driver, and maybe some Windows drivers. But that's your graphics driver is like the main driver. Also, turn off, if you have the NVIDIA app, turn off automatic updates on your drivers. Don't do it. It's not everybody, Oyster. It's not every... So it's going to also vary depending on graphics card. But if you have the problem, that's the fix. If you don't have the problem, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, as they say. You know? The best driver was on PS1. What a game. That was a damn good game. Dude, that never, ever, ever in my life has the tutorial mission, the mission 1 tutorial, this made me spend hours and hours and hours and hours to get to the main game. And the funny thing was that the rest of the game wasn't as hard. Oh, this actually drives me nuts right there. This drives me nuts. I'm never going to use this livery again, purely out of spite. Right there. See that word right there, Palantir? You guys should know me. Actively against AI. Defense company and AI. AKA, see this name Palantir? That name Palantir. That might as well be the real life Cyberdyne. All right, we're going to use the non-Palantir one. I do like the Hertz livery, but anyway. Okay, so let's see. So we got, all right, so I got the YouTube policies out of the way. I did get the driver chat out of the way. Shit, I talked so much about that. I forgot what else I wanted to talk about. I don't know if it's on the real car, just in the game, Captain Crunch. They're two liveries made by two different people in the game, and I'm by no means what I would ever call an activist, but I will just personally, in my own little bubble, put my foot down against certain things. I'm not going to preach, but I'm just not going to support certain things. And AI and defense contracts can go fuck themselves. You are setting the world up to be taken over by, if not, cinema level AI, you are taking a few very powerful people in the world and giving them abilities you would never want anybody as a nation to have. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. I gotta take a piss. All right, so another thing I want to do real quick, in the game anyway, as far as game testing, is mess with the LMDHs just a little bit. See what affects them aggressively top speed. Because I do think Austin was onto some things last night when he talked about ride height. Ride height massively affecting the top speed of the car. Because the cars are, like I've said, the cars are much safer now, but they are slower. And I know I haven't tried Aris's setups yet, but I am curious. I do have them downloaded. I want to mess around on the test center a little bit while we chat. All right, so the penalties are off, which they are. All right, let's mess around a little bit with these while we chat. Someone create a John Connor livery and smash the rear wing, right? It's just one battle after another. Exactly. Good flick. Good flick. Very good flick. Grumps on Daytona, were you talking about the LMDHs or the GT3s? I haven't messed too much with, as far as the LMDHs right now, I have barely touched that. I've only been digging around with, getting more out of it straight line speed-wise. Because I can tell you that, I'm actually curious, I do want to check one thing here. So first we're going to just do a full-on, see, these are the Aris's stuff. The default. Let's just make a full rip. Straight line test. Again, and we're going to do the same thing we've been doing with the GT3 stuff. We're going to measure the mile per hour at the first sign, and then at the end when we hit the wall, what our top speed we hit is. All right, here we go. So 178 to the first sign. Like, this is where these things, like, hit a wall in their default form. All right, 187. 187 was our top there. Now, let's do the setup that I used, and I only went 138 with this, which was, is this. I pulled 2 degrees out of the rear wing. I do want to check and see if tires hurt you, too. Because if you run, like, in my opinion, guys... Now, I don't know the actual specifics of softs versus mediums and the spec of tire that they run and how it actually could... But I can tell you that when I am chasing top speed on a motorcycle, I am running a very different tire compound than if I am racing the bike from an acceleration standpoint. Because what happens is the very, very, very soft tire at very high speed gets very, very, very soft. And that same grippy, nice, fun tire that accelerates you really easy, you now have to tear off the road at 200 plus miles per hour. And it doesn't want to move. It's a lot harder to accelerate. So I am curious if that aspect is in this. So I am going to test that once I mess around with the wing stuff. I'm curious if the soft tires slow you down from a top speed standpoint. I doubt they do, if I had to guess. But it would be a nice little, nice little thing to see if it was. But then again, maybe the real tires don't. Maybe they're maybe the soft tire in, say, this is still way harder than the soft tires that I'm used to playing with. Because the tires that I'm used to playing with are drag radials. And they are as soft as they get. Outside of like a full-on bias ply slick. Like a flat slick. And by flat slick, I mean like an actual drag tire, not a flat slick like this has got. This is not a flat slick. It just has no tread. So we got about 3 to 4 miles an hour out of it by just taking those 2 degrees out. And now I think the car is just out of gas. So we hit 189, but we hit 188 a while back. So that 2 degrees right there. By the way, guys, I can take that 2 degrees out of the rear wing and still run that thing around Sebring. No problem. So I can tell you this, even if you don't chase setups and don't know setups and you're worried about that, I can tell you that on the LMDHs, you can, at least the Cadillac, which is what I spend most of my time in, you can comfortably take a couple degrees out of the rear wing, gain straight line performance, and literally lose nothing in terms of grip. Because I feel like one thing that they do need to make changes on the future of these cars is how the aero and how the wing scales to the safety of the car. Because it feels like after 3 to 3.5 degrees, you're just slowing the car down and gaining nothing positive. You're just making the car slower. But if you do go down to zero wing, you can't turn the fucking car. I'll show you what I mean by that. Which I agree with, by the way. I'm not saying that's wrong. But I'm just saying the range of adjustment is like 1 to 3 degrees. Or 0 to 3 degrees. Maybe 1 to 3 degrees, because you're never going to use 0. It just doesn't work. So 1 to 3 degrees would be your range. So every number outside that scope is kind of pointless right now. All right, so vehicle setup. Let's go down to what I mean by zero wing. And by the way, though, these cars, I don't know what. By the way, on the other streams that happened, what was everybody's generalized opinion? I think these cars are a massive leap forward over the last build. GT3s, I think, are a bit more controversial. I like them, but what I like no one ever likes, so I think these cars are a massive leap forward. .185, gained another 3 miles an hour. But here's where it gets interesting. That's what no rear wing looks like. Oh, and here the car's going to freak out. This happened last time. We're going for a ride, boys. Hold on! Test track has some definite wall bugs in it. That corner's one of them. I've only had this happen with the LMDH because I'm traveling at a much higher rate of speed. Let's see if I can get out of this safely. Hey, we did. Look at that. All right, we're safe, boys. Okay. Last time I was airborne doing all sorts of funky shit. Well, that's not an official livery. I don't care. I know you're being you, Slick. But I just meant I'm not using that livery. Alright, so let's try the same thing now, but with back to the 3.5. Because, again, we gained top speed again. But let's see if 3.5 we can make that turn. I have not. I haven't really done anything in AC. I just don't have the patience for the modding. I really don't. I don't have the time, you know. If I wanted to make AC my dedicated sim, and that's the only thing I played, then I could spend some time with it. But I just... Dude, I check out once I gotta, like, build myself a game through modding, you know? I actually don't know when I'm supposed to actually turn here. Let's see how... See, there it is. Now, if I go... Let's just try something here. Let's try... I'm very curious. Because, alright. Let's try this. Restart. Let's see how good the softs are. Let's also pay attention to mile per hour. Because I'm curious if the softs slow us down up top, too. Again, I have no idea what the actual compound difference is, other than saying soft medium. That's not an actual metric that matters. But for regular people, it's the only thing you got. Nope. Tires don't have an effect. They're also still technically cold, so... Technically, it probably won't have an effect. Yeah. Not a whole lot of difference there. You just gotta slow down more there, that's all there is to that. Now, let's see this. Jack up PSI. Yeah, we're going to do that. We are going to do that. I just want to test one thing quick. 5.5 is default. Let's see if we can make that with the default. That turn at that high rate of speed. I am going into that turn too fast. It is what it is. But I'm just seeing at what point I lose control of the car and how I lose control of the car. I feel like right now, I could be wrong, but I feel like right now I'm actually going to understeer off the track with this level of wing. But I'm curious to see how much of a difference there is, if there's a benefit. I agreed with you the other night, Slick. I don't know about now. Your Duramax, I don't even think would turn. Like, I think you would turn... Alright, it's gonna be really hard to do, boys. Just kidding. Hit the escape button. Now I can get back in it. It's weird how I feel none of that until I let go. Yep, there it is. You can definitely feel the wing working better. Because Because that's why I did that little wishy-washy thing. Because the wing saved it, and then it eventually just pushed itself off the track through understeer. So, all right. Anyway, that did what I thought it was going to do. All right, so the settings do work in terms of the adjustment. I mean, if it affects top speed, it should affect downforce. If it's not affecting top speed, I don't think it's affecting downforce. It's just a, coding thing. All right, tire pressure. What did you say? Jack up tire pressure? Okay, so let's do 3.5. And let's just go to max. Let's just max out the tire pressure. So this, in theory, will give you more top speed. If it doesn't induce tire slip from spinning tires on the top end. That in theory, believe it or not, Slick, that works, but it also a lot of times does not work. The atmosphere does awesome shit. And by that I mean the hardest thing and what makes acceleration so hard is the atmosphere. So the faster you go, the harder it is to accelerate. So your just like everything else, your weakest link gives up first. So if you go too high a tire pressure, what happens is at high speed from the pressure on the car or the bike, whichever, your tires will actually start spinning at a very high rate. This is the biggest problem in land speed. That's why land speed stuff is all on bikes anyway, is all super short wheelbase. Because your shit might hook 100% of the way through a half mile and never even attempt to move that tire. And when you start chasing top speed, all of a sudden, your car or your bike or whatever, it's doing a burnout on the high side. And you don't even know what's happening because you're so stable because you're planted in the atmosphere. But anyway, in theory, yes, higher tire pressure should give you more top speed. But provided it doesn't start spinning at top speed. And I have so many examples of that in mile racing with the bikes. I had one guy in a ZX-10. His bike was mechanically geared to go a higher top speed than mine, and he couldn't. He was running about 5 miles an hour less top speed than I was. I'm talking like out of gear, on the limiter, where that's it. We can't go any faster. He had 32 PSI in his rear tire. We dropped it back to 24. He picked up 8 miles an hour of top speed, lowering the tire pressure because he was spinning that much up top. Yep, picked up top speed. A lot of top speed. A lot of top speed. I don't think this game has any level of physics built in to spin the tires up top like that. You blew a Q5 out at 100 miles an hour from spinning on the rim? Yeah. The atmosphere does awesome shit, man. It really does. But then again, like, I'm talking a bit too technical, and I highly doubt these games have a lot of this stuff built into them. Like, I wouldn't... Yes. That is what would happen right there. We gain top speed if we don't ever spin tire, and I highly doubt a game like this has tires spinning from atmosphere pressure up top. Just saying, I don't see it being that advanced. It's a video game at the end of the day still. Okay. All right, so tire pressure, big effect on top speed. Rear wing, big effect on top speed. Now let's test ride height. They use physics from the true flat Earth model? Yeah. Alright, so let's load default. And let's... I just gotta refresh my brain again, sorry. I want to see it back to back. What the top speed is at the sign, and then overall, I think it's 184 top speed, and then the sign is like 178, maybe? I could be wrong. But I want to see what it is before I change the ride height. The best example I can give of what I'm talking about, by the way, with the spinning up top. All right, so 178 is what I thought. And then 184. Yeah. We kissed 185, but it was at 184 for most of that road. So let's do this. Suspension. So according to Austin last night, he said that they like a 10 millimeter split. So 10 millimeter split was, I think, like 0.392 inches. So right now we're at 0.6 inches. So let's make that split tighter. All right, that's as close as we're going to get because one click, 0.5. So let's try that. And according to him, that's how it is based off of the way the diffuser works on these cars and everything. That's how they like their ride height. So let's see if it's built into the game like that. All right, so yep. Yeah, it's got a lot of an effect. Look at that. That's just lowering the rear ride height. So that's what I say. Or that's why I say, Austin's not a dumb dude, right? He's very controversial and toes the line in a lot of things, but he's not a dumb person. So everything I say is grain of salt. But he told me to do that last night. I didn't get a chance to because I was ready to go to bed. But he did it, and he said it got faster. And I just did what he said there. Changed it so it had a 10 millimeter split between front and rear ride height. We just picked up a good amount of acceleration and top speed. Now, how that affects the handling of the car, that we got to see. But as far as straight line goes, you know, because here's the thing. If we gain a bunch of acceleration and top speed, but now the car is completely unstable, like, for example, maybe I'm wrong here, but I would imagine now by doing just that one, we've induced potentially more understeer by plowing the front end off the track even more. So let's do this. I think Daytona is probably the best track to test this on because it's a lot of low speed, hairpin style turning, and then a whole lot of top speed. So this is probably the best track to test what we're chasing right here. And the penalty's on just so we properly drive the car. And for what it's worth, as far as everybody's setups go, I actually have struggled with just about everybody's setup at some point. It's all about adapting, in my opinion. I have yet to drive a setup where I'm like, oh, wow, the car is just... Unless the car itself was broken, you know, and there was a massive exploit to fix something or whatever. But everybody's setup, they all feel completely different. You tried, what, Shazo? Like, I can tell you that, like, for me personally, the Jesper setups that are in there, he's an esports guy. I couldn't drive that car. To me, that was every way a worse driving car than the default car. But if he goes faster with it, then the setup's good for him. That's where, at the end of the day, truly, with the end of the day, setting the car up for yourself and learning that aspect of things is the most important. Looking for someone else's setup is... That really only matters when everybody's running one setup. Again, this is the fixed setup thing, but you can apply it to if everybody's running Jespers or anybody's running Austins. If everybody was in the same setup It's the same shit. People are going to love it, people are going to hate it, but at the end of the day, everyone's racing the same thing, and you have to adapt to it. All right, so let's go softs. Let's do some laps in the default car. Or a lap or two, right? Let's just see, or whatever. Let's get a feeling for the car, you know? Yeah, I was very confused by the high downforce setup of Jesper's, where I had less rear grip than the default setup. To me, that went against the whole high downforce thing. High downforce should mean the car accelerates very slow but has tons and tons of grip, you know? Or it's possible he just made him in a hurry and didn't give a shit. That's possible too. You know? Anything is possible. Wait, we're on mediums? Oh, shit. Damn it. What an idiot. I clicked default setup after I put it on softs. Alright, let's just get a feel. I don't care about lap time right here. I can, yes. You're not going to learn anything from me. All you're going to do is see how bad of a driver I am. Which is maybe what you want. HUD setup. Yeah, that's what I felt, or I didn't feel the last time. Got a lot more understeer right there. Have you seen Helen? Yeah, I have. Like, this car is so safe, it's not even funny. Which is, in my opinion, I think this is the right way to do things. These are a very complicated car, so making the default one safe, I think is the right way to go. Because if you want people to play the game and enjoy the game, hey, look, see this car, you can race this car around this track if the car is set up to be safe. In real life, you could do the same fucking thing. You could take a really fast, reckless car, make it really, really safe for an amateur driver, but guess what? Well, you made it really slow. You know, that was just me being an amateur driver. But that, I'm okay with that. To me, that's a good idea. I'm sure 1,000 people will say, screw that, these cars need to be super hard to drive, the barrier to entry needs to be high, nobody can have any fun, you know, blah, blah, blah. But in my opinion, that's what it should be. The default car and these, because they're complicated cars, is welcoming. But to extract speed out of it, you got to understand the cars, you know? I'm still driving this car, believe it or not, like the old build. I could push this car so much harder. I'm just being too cautious. Like that right there, there's nothing. Nothing stopping me from flooring it right there out that hairpin and not losing the rear end. Like, in fact, turn TC off. TC's just off now. Default car on softs. No traction control whatsoever. This is what I mean by these cars are safe. I've really got to learn the bus stop in these. Now, again, I had them dialed before the bus stop. Now I'm like, I don't know how to go through the bus stop at all anymore. Oh, there it is. Haven't seen that in a minute. Haven't fixed that one yet. Stupid disappearing windshield wiper. Floored. Out of second gear, floored in that turn, generated 0 tire slip. Floored. We got a little sideways action there, but everything's super manageable. Like I said, these cars are safe. My mouse just said, go fuck yourself. You can't play this game anymore. That's weird. My mouse, like, vibrated and clicked out of focus. Clicked to my second monitor. Yeah, these default setups, that's the thing about it. It is fun. Like, you can get in these cars and enjoy them the way they are by default. TC is off right now. And as far as the tires are concerned, I'm on my 3rd lap of Daytona, and look at them. They're optimum. Optimum tire. There's 0 wear, optimum tire temp. See, and that shit bus stop right there was somehow faster than the last one. That's how bad I am at the bus stop right now in this car. Alright, what did we click off for a lap there? So 139.8 right there. Like, that's slow. In the previous build of these cars, that is very slow. So let's do this. Restart, vehicle setup. Let's take 2 degrees of wing out of it. Make sure it's on the softs. Let's actually bump up. Let's go 26 pounds. I don't want to take away any from the front because this thing's got understeer. So let's go on the rear. The rear is going to matter the most in this regard, by the way, guys. When it comes to acceleration and top speed, the rear is going to matter a lot more than the fronts. And you want the lower tire pressure. Again, this is applying real-life tire logic to a video game. So if things are done in the video game right, you want to, if this car here is clearly wants to understeer and lock the brakes up really easy, or lock the tires up from braking really easy, if you put this up, yeah, it'll be great in a straight line until you have to hit the brakes. So, let's see. All right, let's test that out quick. No, let's not touch the fuel. I meant to pull fuel out of it. It is what it is. I forgot to do that. So, all right, let's test that out. So all we did was take 2 degrees of rear wing out of it and put, what, 4 to 5 pounds of tire pressure in it? I can feel it now. Now you might actually have to drive the car on lower TC. Yeah, I blew that. Felt that. I drove that turn a little more aggressively. And I tried to lock the throttle. Normally I lift off throttle there. And I did not. Built up a little bit too much speed, so I need a little bit earlier of a braking zone. I know, we're just testing one thing at a time. Captain Crunch. I'm not doing a full setup or anything like that. I'm not. I want to see if I can get a 137 out of it like this. We went 139 and change, so... Nah. That was too soon. But the thing, though, is that, right, I took 2 degrees out of the rear wing and added 4 or 5 pounds of tire pressure to it, and I'm finding this car is faster and more enjoyable to drive. It's not as safe. The reason why it's more enjoyable to drive is I have to do a little bit more actual driving. Mainly with just the throttle. That's really the only difference. Oh! That's what I'm saying. That was sloppy, and I still didn't lose the rear end. I was still we're a half second faster. That was shit. I felt the shittiness of that. These cars really are so much more fun, though. God, these cars have come a long way in this update. They really have. Whoever made the changes, previous developers, Aris, whatever. Finally, these cars feel good. You know what I mean? The bus stop. I just gained over half a second from that bus stop. And it's still dog shit. I gotta figure out the bus stop. That's where a lot of time is being left on the table right there. Alright, so that was 138.6. Oh. About to lose the rear end right there. Alright, let's see. So now, let's do this. Let's see if lowering the rear of the car upsets. It's 59, right? Yeah. See if lowering the rear of the car upsets the car in any way. Now, I would imagine we might get some extra understeer now. We'll see. So far, it's feeling pretty good. I don't really feel any low speed understeer difference. Slick, for your league, man, you really got to put these in place of some of the other cars. Mix it up a little bit, because these are a lot of fun now. And they are a Me Too car, so... Whoa, whoa, whoa! We almost lost the rear end right there. Oh man. That might be related to the tire pressure, because I experienced it before, too. So let me restart. Let's try this again. This was just more of an experiment than anything else, but let's leave that there. Just test the downforce and suspension first. Leave the tires alone. What I do know yesterday in whatever race I was doing, the Valkyrie was running away from me in the straights on Daytona. That's where I feel the extra understeer, by the way. That sweeper. Brake too late. That's fine. It's an outlap. Doesn't matter. Get the pack. I would get the pack, Mad Max. I think the best cars in the game are not the base cars. Although I think the GTE was an early access one, so you might have to spend an extra $5 to get the GTEs, but the GTEs are worth it. That was actually really fun last night, jumping in the GTEs, getting out of the GT3s. That was a shitty bus stop, but I drove recklessly and did not crash right there, so that's what I mean, guys, when I say safe. TC1, 2 degrees of wing out. Disappearing wiper for weight reduction. You know, these are all effective means of going fast. Fuck that. That kind of sucks. I can tell you that right now, the way this car is set up, I won't use the default setup on any track. This is still safe. I got in it too soon. Trying to push, I got in too soon right there. That's my fault. Alright, so let's do this. Put it in qualifying mode. It does feel really good on controller. They've done a good job at making this game feel good on controller. Sounds good though, Apex. No, no bugs yet. I mean, the disappearing windshield wiper has been there since 2.1. That was shit. But no, I don't ever have. That's the thing that sucks, is I really don't have problems. So I'm the worst guy to check for. I check for a lot. That's why I chase a lot of visual bugs. Because those are things that I can actually duplicate. Crashes and connection issues, I just don't have those. It sucks. I actually have no idea. It's a good question to ask, Captain. Because obviously fuel is also ballast. And ballast weight matters. Sounds good, Matt Apex. Here's the wiper, it's back. It's gone again. I feel like entering into the bus stop in third and coming out in second is the best I can do so far. Entering in second slows me down too much. So this is... there it is. All right, that was our 137.7 right there. We got our 137 out of the car, which is my fastest lap so far in this build. Game build, I mean. I could do the exact same setup here with low downforce or lower downforce. I could do 134s before, high 134s. So I'm currently about 3 seconds off my old build pace for this. But the thing is that my 134s before were harder to drive, right, than this. This is still too safe. So that between the 3 seconds of lap time and the this overall easier to drive the car tells me we got a lot more to find in the car from... Because I still think you can do the same speed you could before. I don't think the cars are slower. I just think they're so safe that they're slower. You know? But I do think that's kind of the way it should be. I know many are going to agree, but you want every car in its default form to be like somewhat accessible. But you can't have accessible and skilled and fast all in the same... You can't have your cake and eat it too. So, you know, an Alien's going to always go faster in every setup, no matter what, with time than your average Joe. But if you want people to play the game, and you want them to enjoy it, like, you want them to be able to get in a car and go, well, I'm just slow, but that was a lot of fun, right? And then, okay, I'm going to figure out how to set the car up. Okay, so you're learning how to set the car up, and oh, look, shit, we're going faster now. Hey, I'm learning how to drive the car. Oh, the car's more challenging to drive now, but I'm learning how to set up around that. Like, so I think that from a game standpoint, that's the best way to go. Because, like, if you ever let someone, you think in real life, if they let a newer rider, or driver, get in a race car, you think they put the race car on absolute mental kill and say, like, go have some fun? No. They put that shit in essentially valet mode, by comparison. Whatever the race car's valet mode would be. All right, go turn some laps, see how you feel. You know, when Brad Pitt drove the F1 car after the making of F1, do you think they sent him out there with that car on absolute mental kill? Absolutely not. You know? So, yeah. Let's see. So is there anything else we should try? I'm going to put in about another hour to an hour and 15 minutes before I get off. It's going to be a shorter stream today because I started late, but I didn't plan on streaming, so... Oh, that's a good call off the iron. I have not... This is not Aris's setup. Let's just use Aris's setup. I don't even know why I forgot all about that. Thank you. All right, so let's go low downforce. So 2.5, mediums. Let's see, brake ducts. Let's see what the default is. 8 and 6. Okay. What about suspensions? So there's that. There it is. Notice how it's 0.4 difference, which is 10 millimeter split. There's something to that. There's something to that. I don't know shit about these cars, so high downforce. Yeah, look at high downforce. Look at the split difference. And that's likely to get the front end on the ground. And it's probably got a lot of rear wing in it, right? More rear wing, anyway. I feel like this car is probably insanely glued to the track. We'll try that high downforce one on Sebring. It's a bring for those over the ponders. Put it back in qualifying mode. Let's go to the bathroom, and then let's try it again. Yeah, favorite race from yesterday was the Zoller. The Zoller was a good race. Zoller was a really good race. I think everybody enjoyed that race. Except for the people that might have crashed. Was my car... Who the fuck gridded my car? Although, let me check and make sure the setup is not changed. Yeah, it's not. Oh, hold on, though. Fuel, 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 fuel. Oh, we're good. Alright. Really pushing that nose. Just mispronouncing it. All right. I mean, listen, I often say there is only one way to say every single word. And that did bite me in the ass on my motorcycle live stream. When I would call an authentic Mexican, and by that I mean was not born in America, was having me tune his bike, I asked him how to say tomato. And I said, there's only one way to say a word. People say, oh, tomato, tomato. I'm like, how do you say it? He's like, it's tomato. And of course, he said it with a thicker accent, but it's tomato. I was like, God damn it! Means I can no longer say it tomato. If I want to stick to my own practice what you preach shit. Yeah, this car's got a shit ton of understeer, this setup. Actually, wait, you know what? I just realized. Shit. I fucked up. I want to put the car on softs. Because I'm testing his setup. And I don't really count the tires as setup. Even though it's, yes, I get it. Or I get picked apart for saying that. But, like, I'm testing the actual suspension and the aero, not the tires. So, like, when I complained about that understeer right there, and I'm testing Aris's setup, I was on softs on mine. I'm on mediums on his. That is not a fair comparison. I need to be on both softs. Oh, we're testing that right now. Oh, I just spit everywhere. That was sexy. Testing that right now, actually. This is the low downforce setup with just soft tires on it. Wait, what? Did I do that? Hold on, I want to see if I did. Let me look back in the stream. Restart, vehicle setup. Do I did it, 100%. That was me. How the fuck did I do that? I clicked once thinking I was going to softs. What an idiot. There we go. PMR's fault. Diarrhea bug? Is that a game bug? Yeah, no, that being on hards right there was 100% me. That's good. That's good. 138. So that just goes to show you that controller is good. I went 137.7 out of my best on my own setup, which is barely a setup. But my point is that was my best so far. Stomach needs an update. Firmware or software? Hard for Aris's setups. Not anymore. I got turned off on the track. Turned off the track, you know, playing words. Haha.
But I hope you leave enough room for my fist, because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine!
Still a lot of understeer. Lot of understeer. Nice top speed, though. That's for goddamn sure. We're almost at 200 right there. I don't trust the front end right now, so I'm driving like an idiot. It's crazy, though, that the rear end of the car is fine. Drop the TC a little bit. Yeah, you really got to knock the TC down quite a bit with the current tire model of these cars. They rotate so much better. Yeah, Phantom Wiper's still here, Oyster. It's like those are the types of bugs that, like, in no way are game breaking. That was faster, actually, right there. That was casually faster than my lap before. 2/10, not by much, but. See if I can yank a 6 out of it. Cleaning up my driving. That ain't it. That ain't it. Push too hard. Fuck! Push too hard. I try to, abuse the TC. And TC was too low for that kind of throttle. But I will say this. This setup does require a little bit of driving by comparison. Oh, that's the hand bug. Watch this. See the hands up here because I went backwards on track? Go on. Few tweaks, yeah. I would say that this is a good base setup, though, so far, because I've already went 2/10 faster than the other setup. Like I said, the other setup was really safe, though, and easy to drive. And I just had half a second off there before. I was an idiot. I saw the half a second, and I'm 137,566. I'm like, ooh, so I need 6/10. I'm like, all right, let me push a little harder to get that 136 out of it. That's what I get. That's why relatives, a lot of the time, don't look at relatives. Just race the fucking car. That relative literally caused me to crash right there. Or spin out, I should say. All right, let's. I know I can go 136 with that setup with a little bit of time. Change tire pressure and fuel load and got 136. There you go. There you go. And people say you can't drive these cars on control or can't drive in this game on controller. I don't know where they get that. I don't play on controller. I pick up the controller. It feels great. Force feedback settings that help the front end. Yeah, I do believe it's the load boost. But I don't have, for me, it's not force feedback. I wish I could shove everybody in this rig and show you what I mean when I talk about how fantastic this force feedback is and how it's just so good. But it's still so divisive, but it is so good. All right, high downforce, softs, sprint race. So we have a lot of rake now. We have a lot of rake now. Which is going to push the front end into the ground, create a lot of downforce. And then a lot of rear wing. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, I don't think the force feedback in this game is nearly as hard to understand as people seem to want to make it out to be. I think it's actually really easy. But I know that alone, talking about force feedback. Talking about anything in this game pisses people off. Whatever. Alright. Back on softs, right? We're on hards. I did it again. How do I keep doing this? What the hell is wrong with me? Alright, here we go. Jesus! What are his gear ratios at? Holy shit, you heard that, right? Oh my god. Oh my god, boys. I like this setup. This is not going to be a Daytona setup, that's for goddamn sure. Oh, we're out of gear. Yeah, we can't run this gearing. What track is this for? This high downforce one. So what is default? 3.9. So high downforce. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, so 3.9's what it was. I will say, I wish this gave you a general, like, mile per hour prediction when you change the final drive and stuff like that. So this is at 0.8. This was there. It really feels like there is no sixth gear, so let's try that. Yeah, that gearing was aggressive. Oh, pushed too soon. We're going to run out of gear in the back straight. 100%. This is going to be a good, like, Lime Rock setup. Or Mo Sport. Oh shit, wasn't paying attention. Look at those, look at the... Yeah, the high downforce is too much downforce, in my opinion. That's good for, like, we just topped out at 160 right there, and we were running out of gas doing it. So, let's do this. Try medium downforce. music rolling here in my head. Tell I'm used to the other setup. Alright, I gotta figure out this last turn. We lost a lot of time last lap. Might have to go second gear. Third's probably still the way to go. We just gotta brake more. Alright, so that was 155. It's alright. Nothing crazy. Try, I don't know. To be fair, I don't know. There are on my screen. Let's do the basic setup that I had at Daytona. Gotta be gentle in the hairpins. Jesus. I'm gonna go ahead and say Aris's setups are pretty decent. You might have to tweak them. Your mileage may vary. Yeah. Too much understeer. Too much understeer in this setup. This is definitely more of a Daytona setup. His medium one worked really good here. Try high downforce again. Go softs. You can brake way later with the high downforce. Second gear it is. No, sir, Dimitri. But I can probably do that tomorrow. Fuck. Yeah, I think medium downforce is good for Sebring as a starting point for sure. This setup here with the original ratio. Oh, I didn't pull fuel out of it. Fucking idiot, Evan. Well, let's see what I run for a lap. 155.9. Break a little later here. That was a waste. Rotated the car a little bit by getting back on the throttle sooner, and it helped by quite a bit. Lost a bunch of time again. I think medium downforce is the better starting point, honestly. I don't think they've changed anything in this update at all, Harry, for lighting. I'll check it out, though. Check it out. Take a break from these LMDHs quick. Grade 4 only cares about simulation. I mean, they all only care about simulation, if we're being honest. That's their main goal, is simulation. Not a problem. Have a good one, Captain. Slick. Next league, man, we got to do these GTEs. Oh, I fucked it. Nope, I saved it. I lied. Yeah, nighttime has gotten a visual buff on PC. That hasn't made it into consoles yet. Nighttime. Right? That's a good point. That's a good point. Gotta stay the whole race? That's fine, Slick. I can do that. I can do that no problem in the GTEs. I could just do laps on laps on laps in these cars. Same with the GTs. I'd prefer the GTs, but GTEs are more of a crowd pleaser if you like GT3s more. I'll have whatever he's drinking. Oh, shit! Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about what a lot of console guys don't understand is that consoles, no matter what anybody wants to believe, are at end of life for this generation. And every end of life generation on consoles, games get harder to get made for them. Games are more demanding. Even if you don't think they deserve to be more demanding, they all are more demanding. Simulation by itself, simulation, telemetry, all that stuff, force feedback, these are all things that eat up CPU usage. And game consoles have really shitty CPUs. That's why PS5 Pro, so many people complained about it in the early stages of it coming out, was because there was zero CPU buff. It was all GPU, which is good for the games that are demanding on the GPU, that don't need any more CPU. But for simulation-style games that just crank the shit out of the CPU, PS5 Pro, there's a reason why PS5 Pro has zero benefit on over PS5 for PMR. Same with ACC. Zero benefit to PS5 Pro. If you think your PS5 Pro looks better, that's called placebo, my friend. I have both consoles. They look exactly the same. As what plants crave. All right, last lap, 1:16.7.
You were the best out there today. Congratulations.
Lobbies are going right now. Yeah, let's go take a look, see where they're at. I wouldn't say they're disgusting, Eric. That's That's a bridge too far for my taste for saying it's disgusting that they're prioritizing PC. I understand frustrations, but they're working on both. But bottom line is this, and this is something that like a lot of console space doesn't understand. Sim racing is a dominantly PC related hobby. It always has been. It's just been slowly being adapted into the console space. Now, I'm not saying don't fix console problems. I'm not saying that. I'm just simply saying there is a lot more to be taken in from a consumer standpoint in the PC space. And there's a lot more you can do in the PC space, especially with simulation. But as far as like the visuals and things like that on console, outside of the night buff, I really don't see the current gen consoles being strong enough to make the visuals any better. And you can't compare it to Gran Turismo 7 because Gran Turismo 7 is built on its own extremely efficient engine. Like, extremely efficient engine. And that's good on them. But that's why there is visual difference, you know? If you could get the Gran Turismo 7 on PC, or at least get a PlayStation with PC-level horsepower and use that engine, you would see the visuals of Gran Turismo 7 go up that much more. There are definitely some good amount of lobbies here. That's good. What do we got? What do we got? Racing. I hate how good the GTEs feel. Like, that GTE I just drove, did laps on my own there, that just immediately made me not care about the LMDHs that I just drove for the past 2.5 hours. Oh, man. I agree. I do agree, Grumps. I do agree. Like I said, I understand the prioritizing PC stuff, but that doesn't mean it's one or the other. Like, you can prioritize the development on PC while simultaneously fixing the things on console, you know? But at some point, there's going to be a fork in the road where you either have to not develop the game at all for anybody because you're limited to what you can do with consoles, or you have to go, okay, consoles are going to get shortchanged a little bit. Though that fork in the road is going to happen, and I think we're already have passed it, if I'm being honest with you. And I think I know the decision they made. Because as a game developer, and you're creating a game that requires resources to do things, especially in simulation where you are taxing heavily on the CPU, and you want to do more things. And I'm not saying don't fix bugs. The crashing shit just can't happen. That just can't happen on console. It can't happen. You know? 100% consoles need bug fixing. Without a doubt. And I'm not saying they don't. I know it'll be taken that way. But you have to understand why there is also the thought process of pushing the boundaries of the game and wanting to go to the next step. And then why you would prioritize PC in that space. Because what you can do is just a completely different realm, you know? This game already doesn't have so many things that other sims have from a simulation standpoint that consoles can't ever do, period, with any game. Just your basic telemetry outputs for all of the hardware that you can run on PC that consoles just don't have, you know? The bottom line is this. At the end of the day, they shouldn't have done all the consoles, or all of the systems all at once, you know? Sony, here's the thing about if you're a PlayStation user, the biggest thing, it's easy to like bitch and moan at Straight 4 because you're playing their game and Gran Turismo 7 exists, but who you really would want to point the finger at as a PlayStation user is Sony. Seriously. Sony is like, if you are looking for a real hierarchy enemy in video games on consoles, it's Sony. Sony is the problem. Polyphony gets extremely special treatment from Sony. Extremely special treatment from Sony. Because they're the golden goose in racing video games for them. In my opinion, for me, and there's a lot of games that I do that are PlayStation exclusive, the number one reason that I would recommend to have a Sony PlayStation over an anything else is Gran Turismo 7. Or Gran Turismo in general. Never been on PC. Every other PlayStation exclusive has migrated at some point to PC. Not Gran Turismo. It is one of their, if not biggest, golden goose from a series of games that is specific to Sony. So yes, that is why Gran Turismo 7 is as good as it is. Sony is in their back pocket. Sony don't give a fuck about anybody. So when something doesn't happen on console and it does happen on PC, the enemy isn't straightforward. The enemy is Sony. PC space goes, yeah, let's bring all those bugs in here. Let's see what works. Let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. For free. You don't gotta pay for shit. Just do it. Let's see what happens. Sony. Hold. What is this? It's a border crossing, essentially. All right. Well, if you want to get through, this all checks out. Now you got to give us a shit ton of money. Oh, you don't want to pay for that because you're not sure about this particular bit of information sticking on the wall? Okay, well, have a nice day. If Sony wasn't as regulated and hard to give out updates for, I can assure you, if you think we've had a lot of updates for this game, we would have like 17 hotfixes this past month if it was PC only. Trust me when I say that. And this isn't to like just stay away from blaming Straight 4, because Straight 4's made their own mistakes that they are responsible for, without a doubt. But I can assure you, a lot of those mistakes are around pressure from just making something on a Sony platform. And it sucks because the dominant player base right now of all three is on PS5. I'm even a PS5 user. I play on PC, but I'm a PS5 user as well. So, unless you got a lot of fucking money or a lot of good graces, which let's face it, Straight 4 has neither, Sony is your crutch. So, I know these might sound like excuses to some people who are just bitter about the situation, but this is the reality of why they're saying things like prioritizing PC. Because this is how you look at it. Either everybody suffers because of Sony, or just Sony suffers because of Sony. And by Sony, I mean Sony users. What decision do you make? Think about it like this. You know, how do you, if you were the ones leading the charge on making this game for everybody, right? And Sony the company, was the number one roadblock that's stopping you from being able to do everything the right way. Outside of mistakes and company errors and programmer errors and things like that. If Sony is the biggest thing working against you, does Xbox, Sony, PlayStation users, and PC users all suffer equally? Or does PC get its own sort of treatment? Because that's the only road you can go without being chained to the wall by Sony. Which, I'm asking you guys, which way do you guys go? Does everybody suffer equally, or does some people get progressed while the other people don't suffer more? They're going to suffer this, like Sony PlayStation users are going to suffer the same no matter what. Whichever fork you take on this road. So, does everybody suffer as much as Sony PlayStation users? Or does Sony PlayStation users suffer the same and PC users get extra treatment because they're not roadblocked by Sony? What decision are you guys making? That's a genuine question to you guys. I know which one I would do, and unfortunately, it would make Sony PlayStation users mad at me. But I don't make games, so I don't really care either way. But that's just business. Yeah, the Series S, you're chained down by hardware. But as a company, Xbox isn't nearly as bad as Sony in terms of updates, things like that. Like, imagine you got to pay an X amount of dollars per hotfix. You want to change a single line of code that's got to go through the certification process costs money. There's a reason why LMU has like 3 hotfixes right every single day after a major update. Send it out. Send it out the door. Sony, every single one of those hotfixes, I don't know the exact dollar amount and how that works financially, but I would imagine it costs just as much as every major update to certify that update. So I'm trying to say is there's more to it than just, oh, Straight 4 is disgusting for this. No, they're not disgusting for it. Their dicks are tied to a fucking stump. And they got to find a way to move without having them ripping their dicks off. You know? Well, here's the thing, DSM. There has to be an update for everybody all at once. If there was an update only on PC, PC users could not play with Sony users. So they have to update them all at the same time, or else they lose crossplay. You know? So you can't just update PC and not update console, any console. You have to update them all at the same time. It's going off way. Crossplay 100% complicates things. God, for what it's worth, guys, though, there is a reason why crossplay on console, a lot of games are crossplay inside the console space, and they're not PC to console crossplay. You know? But I do agree on that, though. Crossplay is the future. I am very, very pro crossplay. Very pro crossplay. But with the crossplay caveat by itself, you need a lot more money for development. A lot more money for development. Listen, guys, I'm not at all saying that you should dislike your consoles. I'm just explaining that there is a political system to it that is out of everybody making the game's control. And, you know, if you're pro-America, whatever you... okay, let's do this. Let's not go too hard into the country thing. Whatever you guys would recall as the most free place in the world to do whatever you want, right? Open sandbox. Come on in. Let's have some fun. Yeehaw. Less rules. That's PC space. Sony, from a political functioning company standpoint, is the polar opposite. Call it Russia, whatever you want to be that analogy, you know? So, it's harder. Communist Sony. I mean, I'm just saying. Russia is at fault for PMR struggles. I just knew it. Goddamn KGB are coming to my house. I outed them. If I just disappear one day and I died of a seizure or a heart attack, KGB. Hey, all things considered, I'm a huge KGB fan. Russians get it done. Russians get it done. Think about it like this. If America's CIA was like the Russian KGB, the entire world would be called America. KGB gets shit done. There's a reason why I like Black Ops Cold War is my favorite Call of Duty, because I love the time frame. Espionage era, oh, it's the best. I'm a nerd for the KGB. Like, the CIA is like, it's cool, but movies about CIA is like, all right. Movies about the KGB, oh, I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. All day. But yeah, anyway, back to the game. I'm not defending them. I'm just saying there has to be some understanding of why things are the way they are. And let's face it, it just so happens that the easiest sandbox to further develop the game and make better, the easiest happens to be where the least amount of people have already... And by the least amount of people currently playing, that means most amount of money to be gained to continue to make a profit, to pay employees, to develop the game. You got to sell things. You know, like, eventually you run out of money if you don't ever sell your product, right? And again, none of this is an excuse for how the game may or may not run on console. I'm just trying to make people understand the big picture who might just overlook it and go, fuck them. Like, what's his name's comment about saying that they're disgusting? I have to put up the stop sign there. Disgusting is not the right word to use. Not disgusting. When your back's up against the wall and you only see one out. You know? It doesn't mean they're not developing consoles. I promise you they are. Like, you can prioritize one thing and still actively work on the other thing. It just means if you got a crew of 10 people, 6 of them are working on one thing, 4 of them are working on the other. That counts as prioritizing. You know? But keep in mind, like I said, there's a lot of thing on PC in this game by itself that you can do that you just will never be able to do on console. So it requires more resources. I agree that all bugs should be fixed first on everything. Every PC bug, every PlayStation bug, every Xbox bug, all of those should be fixed before any new features come out. I agree with everybody who says that. But you have to also simultaneously understand why PC prioritization is still a thing. It's just way easier for them to do, and it's way easier to gain a profit in that space because less people are playing there. And when you see guys like The Rev and the Jimmy Broadbents and any of these YouTubers talking about the game in a positive light, they are not going to influence many console players. They are primarily going to influence PC players. You know? I'm not saying they have console players and those guys are disconnected and they don't follow them. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, the main simulation space is PC. It just so happens the lesser simulation space has the bigger player base at the moment. Art, yeah. All eyes on Trump worrying about World War III. Sony quietly invades Poland. Oh, shit. I do agree, Harry. They should get a handle on console crashes. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. $100%. 100%. Like, for example, triple screen in VR. That can be actively developed and made better on PC and have no effect on the development on console. It's not there. You know? So, Rusty, to make a correction, because I actually did think that once upon a time, too. Consoles will always own the gaming market because they're affordable. Believe it or not. You are incorrect, and I was also incorrect when I used to think like that. believe it or not, the video game space is actually dominated by the PC space, not the console space. I trust me, I thought the exact same thing not that long ago until I looked it up, and I was like, holy shit, I did not know that. It might seem like we're going towards a path of like, oh god, who would ever want to buy a PC when you can just go buy this wonder box over here that does it all? Well, the industry's actually doing the opposite. There's a reason, like, here's the thing, guys. Why do you think a lot of these companies, and by a lot I mean Xbox and Sony, are increasing prices? Yes, they cost more to make, for sure. That's part of it. But also, I think they are seeing some of the writing on the wall, that it's shifting towards PC. Well, if we're selling less of them, we need to make more money per sale. So here's where Slick. Sony and Xbox profit more from games through them than, say, anything in the PC space would. Because, for example, prices of, say, set game, like all crossplay games, like whatever it might be. Sony, on the Sony store, dictates the price of said game through Sony. They don't have to honor any sale. Steam sales all the time. Other vendors sell keys for cheaper than what the main APIs sell them for. So, without a doubt, Sony is making more money from the games than, say, Steam. Without a doubt. But I do think it's, I genuinely believe that the next console cycle is going to push a lot of people to PC. Look at all the backlash Sony's getting from just going all digital. Guess what? PC's been all digital for decades. %100% digital, not a single disc in sight. And that's just on Steam. That's just on Steam. That's not Epic. That's not Blizzard. The most expensive part about PC gaming is getting the PC. Once you're on the platform, it is substantially cheaper to maintain gaming. So, but again, the what do you call it? My brain went dumb. Play some Wreckfest. Now I'm getting off in a minute here. I'm just doing this to visually be more entertaining and just listen to my beautiful voice. Then I'm not sure. What are you trying to say, Rusty, on that one? I'm confused. I don't think consoles are useless. I've never said that. But for sim racing, they are never going to be the dominant source of sim racing. Ever. It's only going to go the opposite direction. Console sim racing will always be the barrier to entry to get into sim racing. That's always how it will be. It's not going to grow into being an equal of PC sim racing. It's always going to be GT7 got me into ACC. ACC got me into, maybe if PMR ever gets to a point of saying that, and then after playing PMR and seeing the cross-play differences, that got me thinking about all the things I could do on PC. So I got a PC, and I haven't looked back. Art in chat. You were a console gamer, now a PC gamer. What are since you're more recent to it, what would you say are the advantages of console for you over PC? It is only this game, though. It's true. This game has more crashes on console right now than it does on PC. And that just shouldn't be a thing. God, this fucking thing, this is like... If you buy PMR and don't get the GTE pack, you are just selling yourself short, man. This immediately makes me go, who fucking cares about the LMDHs or the GT3s? Seriously. Yeah, it's definitely, Grumps, it does seem like it's more stable even on Xbox. It definitely seems like a Sony-specific amount of crashes, because let's face it, Sony is the dominant player base of the three, and they are the most vocal about bugs, and last night in the lobby, the amount of dudes who are on PlayStation getting crashes. Like, okay, for example, Fway, you have it on PC, and you have it on PS5, right? How many times has it crashed for you on PC versus PS5? Probably a lot more on PS5, right? Oh. And I don't mean crash as like, I can't drive. A lot more on PS5? Yeah. And this is the part that's the problem. I have a very opposite tone when it comes to the stability of PC players and the stability of console players. PC players, if they're having a problem with the game, my knee-jerk reaction is to blame the user of the PC. Configuration, software, there's so many ways to break a game that isn't the game's fault on PC. But on the console space, if somebody, I have the polar opposite thought process when someone's having an issue. If someone's having one consistent issue and you're on PS5, that means every single person with the PS5 should have that exact same problem. Same software, same hardware. Everything's the same. And I don't necessarily mean disconnects, because that can also be affected by Wi-Fi and internet. But I'm talking specifically about like the menu, the game. Like I'm in the menu right now, flicking through shit, and all of a sudden, boom, it crashes to the Sony desktop. Everybody should experience that on Sony. There is zero user difference in that experience. On PC, like I said, I have the polar opposite tone because there's so many ways to break a game on PC that have nothing to do with the game. So, yes, I agree. The number one thing I would say, number one priority, should be Sony PlayStation game crashes. Not even necessarily disconnections. Because that's an everybody thing. The Sony, like, when you are in the menu, flicking through car, like, okay, I'm going to go cockpit setup, blah, 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 boom, go crash to Sony desktop. That can't happen. That cannot happen. It's hard to fully stop all disconnects because there's a massive, gigantic internet in the way of that. In between the user and the host and the server. But the game itself in the menu, which has nothing to do with connections to the internet, should never, ever, ever, ever crash. That is a game problem. On console. It could be a PC problem. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about consoles. We're talking about practice. Okay, we're talking about practice. Let me read chat here quick. Nothing really. I can't think of any. In fact, I'm thinking of selling my Series X and just keeping my PS5 potential exclusive, and GT7 just got good for me. Oh, that's right. The GT7 update was today, wasn't it? How does the driving feel? I am going to, later today, I am going to uncollapse it. My RS50 rig to play some GT7 to see how it is. It's great. The game is already fundamentally in every way better on PC. And visually is the only excuse, in my opinion. The only thing that should be fundamentally always better on PC are the visuals. You got more horsepower to crank them up. Always. But the game should be identical. I understand sim racing is a bit harder because telemetry and simulation and physics eats up CPU, so you could have some issues there, but gotta fix it. Gotta fix it. I think that's a big FS. Just cranked up Grid Legends on PS5 after playing. Wait, you want to say that again? Bro, I just cranked up Grid Legends on PS5 after playing PS5. Felt like I went from 1080 to 5070. You're either missing some information or you got some typos in there, sir. Why don't I stream GT7 new physics update from the Logitech setup? Oh, it would be very hard to do. My computer is nowhere near my PS5 from a capture standpoint, so I couldn't capture it. I'd have to... The only way I could play GT7 right now, easily for stream, is use my laptop, which is fine. I can the same way I do in the garage. And then I just put the fucking camera at the TV. I could do that. I could review it, but it would be the shittiest, cheesiest stream you've ever seen. So massive improvement to physics. I guess I'm going to have to try it, huh? Well, yeah, literally, I'll take this webcam and do this. Is this worth streaming to you guys? Truthfully? Because, like, this is what it would look like. Oh, hold on. Obviously, I would get a better angle so it's not so janky like that, but this is the visual you would see. Audio would not sound like this either. Audio would be in the room audio. Although, no, I might actually be able to do a legitimate capture with my laptop. My laptop is powerful enough to just run a stream and capture. So I could technically use, what's the easiest way to do it again, where you use the PlayStation app to stream the game to the PlayStation app, and then you just capture the screen on the PlayStation app. I think that's what people, I have to look into it, because like I've never actually streamed with a capture like that from PlayStation. More authentic, more raw, more power! More power, baby! Oh, shit. We got no ABS, boys. Alright, that's enough for me. I gotta get off here. All right, that's enough for me for now. I didn't even plan on streaming today. I just kind of jumped on and said, fuck it, let's send it. Talk about practice. But anyway, yeah, so, I don't know. I think we kind of went over a couple good topics today. Like I said, console guys, I get it. I get the frustrations. But there's no doubt PS5 bugs need to take an overall global priority. But that doesn't mean generalized development isn't being prioritized on PC. It should be because of Sony. Sony makes things very fucking hard. You can't let Sony railroad PC progress. That being said, there needs to be fixes. The game can't crash. Boris, I'm at Sony streaming more. Hold on, let me check Boris quick. Oh, I'll send everybody over to Boris when I'm out of here. Hey, it's Boris. Copy. All right, let's do this. Set this up. Oh, why am I doing this? I don't need to do that. Redirect. Boris. Save. All right. Yeah, they need to fix the Logitech issues on PS5, and they need to fix... I'm actually curious if that's a PS5 issue or a Logitech purely issue. Like, I want to try my RS50 on PC. It's just a lot harder to do that, believe it or not. My rig's right here, and everything is bolted so, like, permanent. Swapping the direct drive and the pedals would suck. But I can't even remember which they used, but circuit experience at Watkins Glen on GT7 feels almost like ACC, really. That was just the first thing I did today that impressed me. I'll have to jump, do ACC versus PMR. GT7 back-to-back. I'd say in PMR, but no Watkins Glen. Feels a ton better. That's good. Well, I'm going to go eat lunch, and then I'm going to try the GT7 update. So for now, boys, if I think it's something that's worth actually streaming, maybe I'll look more into it. I'll have to stream GT7 from my living room, though. That's the reality of that. So... the Rastolution thing? I think you mean the Sigma Cortex. And it doesn't work on the Evo bases, the Sigma Cortex. It only works on the older Evo bases. One day this stuff will work on PlayStation, and I'll bolt my PlayStation right to the wall, set everything up to be all one nice, sexy unit. But until then, everything's got to be separate. It's a pain in the ass. Anyway. All right, boys, go enjoy Boris's stream. Tell everybody I sent you. Or tell him I sent everybody. And then I'll see you guys. I don't think I'm going to stream tonight. I do need some little bit of time off. But I will be streaming tomorrow. What I'm going to stream, I don't know yet. I don't know if it's going to be PMR. I don't know if it's going to be the Modern Warfare Early Access Beta. I don't know if it's going to be Gran Turismo 7. Shit, I don't know. Anyway, boys, I'll be back in the morning. Until then, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and go enjoy Boris's stream. Bye-bye.